So this elf girl is totally freaking out, eh? She can't believe our boy just fixed her stomach. Huh? How? He tells her that he totally restored her body. Our guy, Sid, explains it wasn't a disease, but a curse. A curse from some ancient demon named Diablos. She's completely lost, obviously. So he gives her the lore dump. The 3 legendary heroes who beat the demon? Yeah, that fairy tale was real. But the story's got a sequel hook. The demon cursed the heroes' descendants, which is why they turn into, well, her. She's floored, having never heard this before. Sid explains demon possession is actually proof you're a hero's descendant, a total protagonist trait. Apparently, someone rewrote history to make them look like villains. The girl is shocked, asking who would do something so evil. Sid builds the tension. The mastermind behind that is... And then he completely blanks, literally forgetting his own made-up BS. He tries to play it cool, saying it's too dangerous for her to know, but she's not buying it. She gets all up in his personal space. Later, Sid decides he needs some minions for his whole eminence in shadow shtick, so he finally gives in. Then I'll tell you. He reveals the big bads are the Cult of Diablos, who want to resurrect the demon. She completely buys it and is filled with righteous fury. That is unforgivable. Sid says the cult operates in secret, and his mission is to fight them from the shadows. She's in total awe, asking who he is. He almost fumbles his cool name reveal. My name is before striking a pose. My name is Shadow. He asks if she's ready to join him on his dark path. Remembering her despair, she looks at him with pure determination. She kneels and pledges her entire life to his cause. Instant S-rank loyalty. And then we will punish the perpetrators with death. Meanwhile, our boy is just thinking, lol, she sure is gullible. She's already planning to recruit more people, so he gives them a name. A great idea hits him. Our organization will be Shadow Garden, and your name will be Alpha. Cut to 3 years later in some abandoned village. A bunch of hooded goons are meeting up. They're complaining about bad intel from the cult. Apparently, the convoy they were tracking was hit years ago. The leader is annoyed, realizing they've been sent outdated info. Still, he knows this ghost town was used as a base by whoever did it. Just as he gives an order, a voice cuts in. That won't be necessary. Suddenly, debris starts raining down. It's an ambush, baby! The village erupts in flames. The captain tries to keep his cool, but is clearly panicking. They're completely surrounded by fire. In the chaos, one of the goons gets taken out. The captain looks up. Up there, standing on a wall, is Alpha, looking absolutely OP. She drops the coldest line. We led you here, and now all of you will be exterminated. One of the cultists just screams. Then Delta, a cat girl, just blitzes another dude with a massive grin. It's hunting time, she declares. One of the last guys tries to rally the troops. Then another girl, Etta, appears and traps them with black slime. One dude thinks it's a bluff. Famous last words. Eta yawns and hands it over to Epsilon. Now dance, the dance of death, she says, as the slime violently explodes. Sick combo move. The remaining cultists finally realize these aren't just some random bandits. Meanwhile, Zeta just casually speed blitzes another goon. Tonight, you die here. Mission accomplished, 0 effort. Elsewhere, Gamma is smiling serenely. She faces off against a cultist, sword at the ready. She moves in for the attack, and immediately trips on a rock. Buh! She faceplants, and the enemy is just staring, completely bewildered. What a flex! But her flying sword arcs through the air, unleashing a massive magic slash that vaporizes the guy. Task failed successfully. The dude's last thought is, so that's why she threw the sword? Nearby, Beta smugly explains, even we struggle to predict her next move. Then she unleashes her own, way more direct flurry of slashes, wiping out the rest. The battlefield is littered with defeated cultists. The last leader is terrified. This is a one-sided slaughter. Alpha's voice cuts in. I told you, didn't I? She's flanked by all 6 other founding members, an absolute power move. We're going to exterminate you. But she says they won't kill him right away. They loom over him, wanting to know everything about the Cult of Diablos. The leader is shook. How did you know about the cult? He demands to know who they are. A narrator explains how Shadow's followers expanded their power. The girls stand together as Alpha declares their name. We are Shadow Garden. Their creed is simple and badass. We lurk in the darkness and hunt down shadows. This is the story of the 7 shadows. So our boy is having a flashback to when his main party left him. Alpha, the squad leader, is like, it is time for us to leave you. She gives him a little smile and a final farewell. Our guy, of course, is just being his usual stoic self. He watches his whole crew walk off to start their own questline. Cut to 3 years later, Alpha gives us a lore dump about their master plan. She's prepping Shadow Garden for an all-out war with the Cult of Diablos. It's all for the day when Shadow will have his final boss battle. She's dead serious about this deadly battle in the shadows. Basically, their whole purpose is to be the ultimate support class for our boy. Now, we're at the official 7 Shadows raid meeting. Beta kicks things off, telling Alpha everyone's here. Alpha starts the briefing, but Eta is already passed out cold. Delta is yawning, totally bored with all this strategy crap. Alpha just sighs, like, fine, just listen, you lazy bums. Peak leadership. Zeta outlines the main quest, investigate the cult and the curse. Alpha has to nudge Beta, who's lost in a book. What a nerd. Beta announces it's time to assign everyone their class roles. Alpha's the commander, the all-arounder who supports the team. Beta is the intel specialist, handling research and rescue missions. Gamma gets the big one. She's the guild manager in charge of operations. She knows they'll need money and political power to win. She's basically the high int build, handling the entire guild's economy. What a flex! Alpha gives her a nod of approval. Gamma is all in. Leave it to me. Next up, Beta assigns Delta to direct combat, and her ears instantly perk up. Pure DPS, no thoughts, head empty. As she's cheering, Epsilon learns she's on backup duty. She is not having it. I'm taking a backseat role? But Alpha hits her with a charisma check, saying it's a super important job only she can handle. It's a critical hit. Epsilon's confidence is fully restored. Her determination is over 9,000. She strikes a dramatic pose. Leave it to me, Epsilon the Faithful. Morale plus 100. Beta then turns to Zeta, who's already bracing for more work. She's just like, don't tell me you're stacking on more quests. And yep, she's on scouting duty to find a new guild headquarters. The words new base instantly wake Eta up, who yells, a comfy base. This girl has her priorities straight. Gamma explains they can't run a global conspiracy from a busted old village. Alpha agrees it's a top priority mission. She asks Zeta to take the quest, who just winks. Well, it can't be helped. Finally, Alpha tries to give Eta a job, but she's literally asleep again. They wanted her to be the base architect, too. Eta then sleep-talks her acceptance, which makes Delta even angrier. This meeting is absolute chaos. As the two bicker, Gamma cuts in with an idea. Everyone turns to her. A suggestion? Gamma and the others are totally confused. Alpha wants to make swords their main weapon. Delta immediately throws a fit, wanting to use her claws. Alpha explains it's because our boy Shadow taught them swordsmanship. Flashback time. Young Alpha and Sid are training. He taught them the basics. Then he basically said, go grind your own unique skill trees. Gamma gets it. They all have their specialized builds now. But Alpha insists the sword is a huge deal for the guild's future. It's going to be their official symbol from now on, because it's also the very sword that Shadow himself wields. Plot twist! The whole squad is absolutely shook. Beta puts the pieces together. I see. Epsilon clarifies. It's for representing the guild during official quests. Beta has a galaxy brain moment, realizing it's also for anonymity. So smart! She's now totally fangirling. Master Shadow had it all planned out. Delta is still miserable about it. Pure DPS brain, no thoughts. Zeta's cool with it, though. Alpha says it's fine. Spies like Zeta can use whatever gear they need. So, you should just use your best efforts. So wholesome. The others hope swords become the new meta, but Delta is comically horrified. She asks if she can still use her claws for hunting. Alpha says yes, but she still has to do her sword dailies. Aww. Gamma gets everyone back on track. Time to start the main quest. Alpha gets super serious. From this moment forward, the whole squad strikes a heroic pose. We take the next step. Let's go! They all march forward in perfect sync. Badass. Cut to a new building, probably the temp headquarters. A heeled boot steps inside. Dramatic entrance unlocked. In an office, Beta starts the weekly progress report for Alpha. Gamma's playing the economy game, Zeta's scouting, Eta's doing research, and Delta is bored out of her mind and wants to go hunting. Of course she is. Alpha just facepalms. Peak guild leader stress. An elf with an eye patch asks why they don't just cross-train Delta. Alpha explains our boy Sid already tried and gave up, realizing it's better to let her min-max her strengths. Don't nerf the glass cannon. Beta continues. Epsilon is checking out a cult base and should be back any minute. Speak of the devil, she walks in. Epsilon arrives and immediately gets into a rivalry stare-down with Beta before Alpha asks for the report. The drama. Epsilon gets serious. The intel was 100% legit. The underground place is a confirmed cult hideout. And get this? They recently transported possessed people there. Alpha is instantly on high alert. She goes full raid leader mode on Beta. Summon Delta immediately. Cut to an underground cave where some random cultist goon is on guard duty. Suddenly, Delta teleports behind him. The dude freaks out. Who are you? Delta just cackles and lunges. She has been waiting for this. She absolutely obliterates the guy in one hit. Easy. Standing over the body, she grins as Alpha, Beta, and Epsilon show up. Now it's hunting time. Finally. Our boy Sid is on the cover looking mysterious, while the squad poses on a cliffside. Inside the cult's base, Alpha is doing some galaxy brain analysis. Delta, with her zero int build, asks, because of the puny guard? Beta corrects her. The real tell is that they were found at all. A truly important facility would be completely off the grid. Duh. Alpha goes full raid leader. They need a diversion for the rescue mission. Delta, of course, just wants to hunt everyone down. But Alpha explains they have to rescue the possessed this time. Apparently, they can't handle possessed people who've popped their berserk mode yet. Delta finally gets it. A diversion means more hunting for her. She is so hyped. So Alpha puts Delta and Beta on diversion duty. Meanwhile, Epsilon and she will handle the rescue. Alpha gives the order. Shadow Garden, commence operation. Cut to inside the base, where some goon is screaming his lungs out. Good start. A few cultist schmucks are totally confused about the ambush. The attacker is Delta, casually stretching over a pile of bodies. What a flex. Her eyes are wide as she declares, "Time to hunt." 2 more goons show up and immediately nope out of there. Beta just stands there, not even bothering to look as one sprints past her. She calmly tells Delta, "Try not to destroy the facility itself." Delta yells back, "I gotta fight using my head." And then she immediately kicks a dude in the head while another goon panics. Literal-minded queen. The schmuck calls for backup, so Beta draws her bow. But then she lets him escape to bring back his friends. Big brain move. Delta is absolutely pissed and grabs her. "Why'd you let him go?" Beta just smiles, explaining he's bringing more prey. Delta's mood does a 180. Instantly thrilled. She's super impressed now. "Beta, you're pretty good at it." But inside, Beta's having a flashback. She literally hates all this violence. But her resolve is absolute. But if it's for Master Shadow, our girl is ride or die. Meanwhile, in the prison block, a few guards are on patrol. Alpha and Epsilon are scouting and see tons of empty cages. Epsilon realizes they were too late for some of the possessed. So tragic. She starts blaming herself, but Alpha shuts that down immediately. Master Shadow gave us power and wisdom, but that doesn't make us all-seeing gods. She tells Epsilon, "We can only do our best today for the sake of tomorrow." Epsilon gets the pep talk. Character development unlocked. The diversion works, and some guards leave. It's go time. One dude yawns, and boom! Epsilon nails him with a flying kick out of nowhere. The fight is over in like 2 seconds. Easy clap. The area is secure. But then Epsilon gasps. She reports there's only 1 person left alive. Inside a cell, a possessed person is groaning in pain. Epsilon is fired up. "We must save this one right now." She asks Alpha to work her healing magic, but Alpha says, "No, Epsilon." She points to Epsilon. "It's you who'll do the saving." Epsilon is absolutely shook. She protests, saying only Alpha and Shadow can do that, but Alpha is firm. "Today, you'll join our ranks." Epsilon is panicking, "But I can't." Alpha reminds her that all 7 shadows trained for this. But Epsilon's magic control is next level. In fact, Alpha says, "Your talent exceeds mine." Whoa, high praise. Epsilon is flattered, but still totally nervous. Alpha gives her the ultimate confidence boost. "You were saved by Master Shadow. You have what it takes now." Our girl Alpha is looking super stressed, sweating bullets over this. But Epsilon is 100% locked in. "Understood," she says. She starts glowing, channeling her magic over a mysterious figure lying on the floor. She's mentally running through the healing tutorial, letting it flow naturally. She flashes back to Shadow's OP magic conducting, and bam! She nails the final move like a pro. In a flash of light, the new girl, Lambda, gets the purification buff. The spell clearly took all her MP because she is panting hard. She looks over at Alpha, totally hyped. Alpha gives her a proud smile. You did it. Well done, Epsilon. Epsilon gets all flustered while the new girl finally starts to wake up. Lambda is totally shook, staring at her hands. My body, it's back to normal? She's still trying to process the whole debuff. So Alpha hits her with the lore drop. Possession just proves you have hero's blood. Lambda is floored. You mean I'm descended from a hero? Epsilon just gives her a solemn nod. Yup. But Lambda is in full-on despair mode. It doesn't matter anymore. We get a quick flashback to her losing her status, honor, and will to live. Big yikes. Alpha tells her it's time for a new game plus. Lambda is like, start? Anew? Alpha goes into full recruitment mode. We know the truth of this world. She drops the bombshell about the Cult of Diablos trying to resurrect the demon. Apparently, these cult clowns have been running experiments on the possessed. Lambda is skeptical. That's a fairy tale, but Alpha lays out the choices. Be an NPC and see nothing and live a quiet, boring life, or join Shadow Garden and fight the real bad guys. Lambda is worried about her backstory, but Alpha is basically like, is it relevant to your next character build? Then she hits her with the ultimate relatability card. We lost everything once too. But then Shadow saved them. Lambda is intrigued. Shadow? And it all clicks into place for her. She dramatically drops her ring, literally casting off her old life. She pledges her loyalty on the spot. I shall dedicate it to Shadow and to all of you. Alpha welcomes her to the guild. She's officially given her new character name, Lambda. Nice. Cut to the Kegano family mansion, which is basically a castle. Inside, Alpha is giving her weekly mission report. We've destroyed all the surrounding hideouts. Our boy Sid is just vibing with his teacup while she confirms they covered his tracks perfectly. He gives her a simple, good job, and she is so happy. She reports that they've recruited a ton of new members for the squad. Sid just leans back, totally pleased with how his epic LARP is turning into a real thing. He brings up a valid point about base capacity, and Alpha mentions everyone, including the 7 Shadows, is retraining with the sword. Sid literally freezes mid-sip. Alpha explains he only taught the others the fundamentals to let them find their own style. Sid is internally screaming, "Did I actually say that?" as she praises his incredible wisdom. Then the memory hits him. I remember. I totally said that. He flashes back to how hilariously bad Gamma and Delta were with swords. Honestly, that was his first real setback in this world. Anyway, he thinks, if Alpha's gonna train them, I guess I'll let her do her thing. Seizing the moment, Sid goes full edgelord. Our journey begins with no clear path ahead. He strikes a pose. In the world of the shadows, where we must rise. Alpha is absolutely starstruck. She's a little confused, but man, it sounded cool. Alpha dips, reminding him not to get grounded by his mom for missing supper. The second she's gone, Sid's cool guy persona completely shatters. He thinks about her report, a new base, a symbolic sword. It dawns on him that Alpha is really a massive nerd for all these secret organization tropes, just like him. Okay, so the chapter opens with some super dramatic lore drop about a fallen king. Basically, some narrator is having a big regret moment over his once great city turning all dark and spooky. Foreshadowing much? Anyway, cut to the present. Lambda is training the new guild members and already stressing about base capacity. Inside, the Seven Shadows are trying to pick a new HQ. Zeta suggests a mythical lost city called Alexandria, and she is dead serious about it. Gamma, as usual, has literally no idea what they're talking about. So Beta has to pull out the lore book for her. She explains it's a legendary city far to the east, past some super deadly woods. Delta is so bored by the exposition, she's literally falling asleep. Apparently, anyone who enters the woods gets got by a deadly mist. Big yikes. Zeta thinks that's a feature, not a bug. Perfect. A base inside a death trap. Total edgelord move. Gamma is not so sure about this whole plan. Meanwhile, Delta has officially checked out. Nap time. Then she pops up, offering sleeping lessons to a totally unimpressed Eta. What a legend. But then Alpha drops the ultimate plot device. Shadow told me. And the whole room loses it. They think our boy prophesied their new base location. So now it's the main quest. Time to go. Of course, Delta completely misunderstands and thinks they're going on a picnic. Eta just shuts that down hard. I'll pass. No journeys for me. Scene change to the academy, where Alpha is giving our boy Sid the mission report. He plays dumb about the girl's little trip. She said something about going on a picnic. Alpha clarifies they're actually moving the entire base to keep him safe from the Cult of Diablos. The new spot? Deep inside the spooky Abyss Woods. And you can literally see the gears grinding in Sid's head. Are you leaving me out of my own LARP? He plays it cool, though. Nope, nothing. But then Alpha casually mentions a legendary Miss Dragon. A dragon! Okay, now our boy is invested. Things are definitely about to get interesting. He decides he is 100% crashing this little picnic. Cut to the Abyss Woods, where some poor wolf monster just got absolutely obliterated. Okay, Beta lands the final shot on some wolf monster, but Delta is already trash-talking its low stats. Geez, what a weakling! The girls note how weak the mobs are here, considering this is supposed to be a high-level zone. Gamma starts a lore dump, but Delta needs the simplified version, Bro. So basically, these woods are filled with a poison fog debuff that the team has been avoiding. But weirdly, none of the mobs have any poison resistance, meaning the fog is a new feature. Someone just patched this in. And holy crap, Delta actually connects the dots. If the mobs haven't adapted, then the fog is artificial. Gamma is literally shook that Delta had a big brain moment. Delta flexes hard. Course I am. Can't hunt without knowing the ways of nature. Then she just roasts Gamma for being a book-smart weakling. Fatality. Gamma is absolutely wrecked. Anyway, Gamma gets back on topic. They need to assume some singular entity is the source of the fog. Epsilon guesses it's the legendary Mist Dragon, but Zeta shuts that down fast. I'm not sure about that one. She's not buying it. To her, lore is just unverified gossip until you see the raid boss yourself. But Alpha knows the fog is real, and this whole thing is getting serious. Even the elite 7 shadows are on high alert, which is way better than treating this like a picnic. She thinks back to Delta trying to fight that wolf earlier, realizing her wild instincts are actually a huge asset. Alpha tells Lambda that Delta's insane intuition will be invaluable here, while Lambda reports she has the backup squad ready. Alpha smirks. Are you uncertain, Lambda? But Lambda is all business. Her job is to prep for every possible outcome. Alpha then switches topics, asking Lambda a super spicy question. As a former military pro, what does she think of the 7 Shadows' fighting styles? Lambda thinks for a second, clearly choosing her words carefully. Her honest opinion? Their team comp is a total mess. I feel there is some imbalance. The whole squad has issues. She heard Shadow taught them all at first. But Alpha clarifies he let them develop their own unique styles after laying the foundation. Lambda isn't sure if that's the reason for the imbalance, but she has some major concerns about Epsilon's swordsmanship in particular. Basically, Epsilon's style is creative, but looks totally self-taught and weird to any expert. As for Gamma and Delta, their technique is just primitive and reliant on brute force. LMAO, she called them Unga Bunga. Lambda concludes they could all use some serious retraining. Alpha muses that maybe Shadow planned for this, but Lambda thinks it's a bug, not a feature. Still, Alpha declares that as members of Shadow Garden, they all have to master Shadow's OP sword style. Lambda is totally on board with this plan. She lives for this crap. Her one purpose is to serve Master Shadow and the Shadow Garden. Elsewhere in the forest, Epsilon's spidey senses start tingling. I'm picking up on something strange. Alpha feels it too. She realizes something is bending space. Okay, this just got weird. Alpha asks Epsilon to scan the area. Epsilon goes full sensor mode and immediately finds it. There's a powerful magic barrier obstructing our sense of direction. So someone is literally blocking them from advancing on the map. But while the smart girls are stumped, Delta just sniffs the air and points. I smell something strong this way. Zeta yells at her for breaking formation. Delta just fires back. You really can't smell it, Kitty? Zeta gets all huffy, but then she sniffs too and realizes the doggo is right. She immediately alerts Alpha that something big is nearby. Without waiting for orders, Delta and Zeta just Leroy Jenkins it toward the signal. Let's get closer and take it out. The two of them are just gone. Beta starts to panic, but Alpha, the ultimate raid leader, is cool with it. No, let's have them go first. She tells Lambda to take the B team and fall back. If the main squad doesn't return in 3 days, tell Shadow. The death flag has been planted. Alpha rallies the remaining girls. They're facing an OP enemy, but turning back is not an option. Lambda accepts the order. May you prevail. Cut to the boss arena. The ground is rumbling as the main squad rushes to catch up with their vanguards. They find Delta and Zeta just staring up at something absolutely massive. Zeta is in total shock. So, it is real! Alpha is completely speechless, just gawking like the rest of us. And there it is. A gigantic, insane-looking crystal dragon is just hovering in the sky. It's the freaking mist dragon from the lore books. And it speaks. Who awakens me from my slumber? The dragon lets out a deafening roar that shakes the whole zone. And get this, of course, our boy Sid is chilling in the trees, watching the whole thing with a massive grin. He knew crashing this picnic was the right move. Things are getting interesting. Okay, so the girls are just gawking at this absolutely massive dragon. It's the frickin' mist dragon from the lore books. The raid boss starts its villain monologue, basically saying everyone who's come here before got totally wiped. All have perished within the mist. Classic boss-level trash talk. But then Beta, our resident nerd, steps up, and instead of pulling a weapon, she asks about some lost city. Epsilon is literally shook. Beta? The dragon is like, bro, you're about to die, and you're asking for a history lesson? And Beta just goes, yes. She is so unbelievably hyped for this lore dump. I really want to know. The dragon just stares, completely blindsided by this absolute nerd. The other girls are just speechless. Beta whips out a damn book, ready to fact-check this ancient monster on the spot. The dragon actually laughs its ass off. Ha ha ha! It tries to be intimidating again. Your fate is sealed. But Beta just gives it a calm little smile. She is not fazed. So the dragon basically caves. Fascinating. Very well then. The other girls are complaining about the sudden chit-chat, but Alpha just roasts them. Shish, keep quiet, you dumb dog. LMAO. So Beta kicks off her presentation. Recapping the two popular theories. The dragon either wrecked the city or betrayed its king. Classic villain origin stories. The dragon is like, kinda, but you're missing the juicy parts. Beta is all in. Then what actually happened? Meanwhile, Epsilon is losing her mind over this mock interview. But Alpha just explains that Beta's intellectual curiosity is a buff that overpowers her fear stat. You could say that's one of her strengths. Epsilon does not look convinced. Cut to a flashback. The dragon made a pact with the king, promising the city prosperity. But as time went on, everyone just forgot about him. Big sad. Even the king's descendants had no clue he existed. Beta points out that 1,000 years is a crazy long time for humans, and the dragon gets all philosophical about mortals. It is the ephemeral nature of those whose lives are mortal. That's when Beta's brain goes into overdrive. Could it be, she asks, if the city turned corrupt over time? The dragon is totally impressed. Clever girl. Beta gives her raid leader a look, and Alpha steps up to ask the million-dollar question. That's why you destroyed them? The dragon goes on this whole rant about his main philosophy. Having great power means you have to prove you're worthy of it. He's not just looking for it in humans, but from all life. Flashback again. The city got lazy and complacent. They stopped grinding and lost their fighting spirit. Alpha gets it. For dragons, your spirit stat is way more important than your HP. The dragon had hoped they'd all ascend together, but they just gave up on the grind. He calls this the manifestation of spirit. Then turns to the catgirl like, you get it, don't you? That awesome feeling when you sense another OP player. And Delta finally gets the memo. LMA. Fighting strong dudes is super exciting, apparently. Okay, flashback. So basically, Alpha says the city got lazy and corrupt. Beta is literally shook. She asks if that's why he destroyed it, and the dragon is like, precisely, from inside some dark energy ball. Cut back to the fight. The raid boss is officially aggroed and starts spamming attacks. Gamma is freaking out, but Zeta is just standing there, ready to tank it. The girls are pissed. Alpha questions his logic, but Zeta just straight up calls him a selfish bastard. Meanwhile, our boy Sid is watching this go down from the bushes. Yikes, he says. He's just chilling in his edgy hood, like, looks like they've upset it. No crap, Sherlock. Back on the field, Epsilon asks for a plan, but Alpha already has it figured out. Big brain move. The new strat, avoid the fog debuff. And then she drops the bomb. They're fighting it head on, together. The whole team is stunned. Beta is nerding out about a real battle, while Zeta is just ready to throw down. And Delta is grinning like a psycho. She's so hyped for this. The dragon starts his villain monologue again, talking about his stupid missed dragon legend. Then he charges a massive beam. Curiosity killed the elves and the Theranthropes. Zeta is having none of this BS and just yeets a giant chakram at him while the team watches. But the dragon casually catches it with one claw. Zeta is floored. Oh crap, she's getting totally overpowered. Some rando elf on the side shouts her name in a panic. Delta starts trash-talking from off-screen, and Zeta fires right back. Classic. Zeta tries to warn her you can't just brute force this boss, but Delta is not listening and pulls a full-on Leroy Jenkins. The dragon just looks down at her. Brute force stands no chance against a dragon. She tries a spinning kick, but he blocks it with zero effort, and she is absolutely shook. It blocked it? So Epsilon runs over to Beta, the team's designated lore nerd. She's basically begging for a cheat sheet on the boss's weak points. And Beta's like, they don't have any? Epsilon is losing her mind. Apparently, you can't even kill this thing with standard attacks. Total BS. Epsilon yells, "But that's cheating!" And the dragon is like, "Welcome to the real world, little elf," as he unleashes a blast from his arm, "Where there be dragons." Epsilon screams. She takes the hit, and Alpha shouts her name. Not looking good. JK, she dodged it, but it was super close, and she is sweating bullets. The dragon mocks her, but now it's Beta's turn to step up with her bow. Let's go! So, Gamma lands a clean hit, but the dragon's HP bar doesn't even move. The girls are stunned. Literally zero effect. They're in full panic mode, like, what do we do now? Meanwhile, our boy is just chilling in the bushes, providing his own commentary. Classic. "That thing's on another level," he says. Gamma goes for another big swing, while Shadow just waits to steal the kill. And, whiff, the dragon just tanks it. No sell. Alpha, the team leader, is like, "Okay, my turn," and tells everyone to back off. She's thinking, well, the hitbox is massive, but she knows this is going to be a tough DPS check. Then the dragon starts its villain monologue. Hitting your target is not the same as defeating it. Okay, edgelord. From the woods, our boy is like, we'll see about that. And the boss finally gets the aggro notification. Alpha pulls off an insane aerial attack, diving right onto its spine. The squad thinks they got the crit. A deep blow to the spine. They're sure this is the finishing move. But the dragon just roars and yeets her off. "Cleverly done," he says, casually. Alpha is totally floored by its power. The dragon is just like, "Indeed, I am strong." No crap, dude. Then he gives the whole "there's always a bigger fish" speech to the squad. So cringe. And then a voice cuts in. "Indeed, there is. Our boy's entrance. The dragon is spooked." Alpha immediately knows that voice. Shadow calls the dragon pathetic, and the boss is like, "Who's there?" And he steps out of the shadows. "My name is Shadow." He drops his iconic catchphrase, "I lurk in the darkness and hunt down shadows." He faces the dragon and calls it a wretched creature. Total badass. Alpha is literally beaming. "Shadow, let's go!" So our boy calls out the dragon, declaring he'll cut it down. What a Chad. The chapter cover hits, and Alpha is just screaming, "Shadow!" Internally, he's like, nailed it. So pleased with his epic intro. He even does a secret finger gun pose for himself. Total isekai move. Alpha starts giving tactical orders, and our boy's just thinking, her ad-libs are chef's kiss. He's suddenly on the dragon's head, and the whole squad is ready. "The 7 shadows await your orders." But he's just like, "All of you, stand back. This one's my quest," he says. The solo raid begins. His fangirls are absolutely losing their minds. "On, Lord Shadow, how divine!" Beta is literally taking notes mid-battle. Epsilon's like, "You for real right now?" The others are just as hyped, cheering, "Come on, boss man, kill it!" But the Catgirl gets serious, realizing this enemy is no joke. A truly powerful foe. She wonders if he can perform another miracle, as the dragon starts charging a laser beam. Our boy just stands there, totally unfazed by the giant death ball gathering above him. Alpha is freaking out, thinking he's about to get one shot. But then, bam! Lightning zaps the dragon's head before it can fire. The dragon fires anyway, and our boy gets yeeted by the force of the blast. The squad braces for impact, but an inset panel shows him just smiling. What a flex! The girls are totally panicked. "Lord Shadow!" The dust settles, revealing a massive crater. Looks bad, bro. But then his voice cuts in, and he just appears, completely unharmed. He's on the dragon's back now, asking it, "Ancient dragon, what is your desire?" The dragon is shook. "You're not just any ordinary human." Our boy grins. "Oh, I am an ordinary human." The squad watches, on edge, as he continues. "I'm a human, but..." Then he lands a massive hit, far beyond your pitiful imagination. The dragon screams. The girls are floored by his power. He's got it in the palm of his hand. The Catgirl is just beaming. Boss man's the strongest. He's basically here to shatter the dragon's unbeaten win streak. And the dragon just laughs. This dude is into it. It's literally like, "This fear, it brings me immense pleasure." What a weirdo. Then it shouts, "However," and throws a huge claw swipe. Our boy dodges, and the dragon roasts him for having unnecessary moves. For a split second, it looks like he got hit. Alpha screams his name, but she realizes instantly, no, those moves weren't unnecessary. He's just standing on its arm, completely fine. The dragon is shook. Our boy is like, "I won't use deceptive moves against an unknown enemy." He takes one step forward, declaring, "My blade shall always," and a massive slash cuts across the dragon's face, clean. Our boy lands the final hit, screaming, "My blade shall always take the honorable path," before striking an absolutely sick post-attack pose. "I am power incarnate." He then immediately starts doing a post-game analysis on himself. Was that a bit too simple, he asks. Bro is literally critiquing his own performance. He just shrugs it off like, "Oh well, there's always next time." What a gamer. His squad starts cheering, but Alpha, the raid leader, is like, "Wait, it's not over yet." And yup, there's a spooky smoke hole just chilling in the dragon's chest. The dragon goes full berserker mode, turning black and just screaming its head off. Zeta is completely shook, shouting, "It's still alive?" The dragon starts its villain monologue, saying mortals can't possibly understand. Delta is just confused. "But you've got blood gushing out of you. Do dragons not die?" And our boy just deadpans. Really good question. He starts rattling off boss mechanics, wondering if it's an undead or a glitched, unbeatable boss. Lore drop. Turns out this world cursed dragons so they can't have a normal death. So, a true victory is having the special power to actually kill one for good. The dragon explains it has an ancient pact to obey whoever has that power, on the condition that they finally give it the sweet release of death. Having finished its exposition dump, the dragon fires a glowing energy sphere right at him. Our boy actually looks surprised for a split second. Boom! A massive explosion sends him flying. Beta is totally freaking out. Lord Shadow! But as the dust settles, he just catches the leftover energy. "I see," he says, completely unfazed. He's literally holding the attack in his hand, calling it Interesting magic. The dragon mocked him with its power, but he's just annoyed, muttering, "Just wish it hadn't breathed on me directly." What a Chad. So the dragon formally bows, asking its new master, "What is it you desire?" Our boy thinks for a solid minute, and his answer is peak gamer. He's pissed he couldn't kill it, saying, "I still have more training to do." The dragon is visibly annoyed by this flex. Then he's like, "Oh well, looks like I'm out of time." He tells Alpha he has to dip or he'll miss his sister's curfew. You can't make this crap up. He just tells her, "I'll leave the rest to you." Alpha accepts the quest, and the dragon just laughs, totally in on the joke. The dragon watches him leave, thinking, "This shadow." It then turns to the girls. "So, you are the allies who follow him." The dragon asks why they're heading to the ancient city. Alpha explains they need a new base of operations to support their boy. The dragon gets it. A new land, I see. It knows that helping them level up will help Shadow. It's main quest reward time. The dragon bestows the entire ancient city upon them. Let Alexandria belong to Shadow and the Shadow Garden. The mist clears, revealing a massive, epic-looking ruined city. So this is Alexandria! The squad stands on a cliff, completely hyped, as the dragon declares the city is now their hidden stronghold. Its magic will be the veil that hides them from the world. Alpha immediately gets to work, telling Gamma, "Our base relocation begins now." So Gamma bursts in to report and immediately trips on thin air. Classic. She pops right back up, totally professional despite the nosebleed. We've commandeered a new base. She's rattling off logistics, and our boy is thinking, damn, her admin stats are maxed out. She'd crush a city builder sim. She finishes her report, totally flexing her management skills. Sid goes full Shadow-sama mode, steeples his fingers, and is all, "Keep it up." Gamma is literally shook by the praise. He gives her some generic, always be grinding advice, and she's like, "Understood, Master Shadow." While he's just thinking, wish she'd put some points into her combat skills, though. She turns to leave, but remembers one more thing about the base. And she just freezes, wide-eyed, while our boy sits there smiling like he's got future sight. Then, bam! A huge crash from outside the door. The door flies open, and it's his sister, Claire, in full panic mode. "Everything okay?" And poof, Gamma is gone. Sid's first thought? Wow, she managed to escape without tripping. What a legend! Claire just looks around, totally confused by the perfectly fine room. Our boy just goes, "Nah, I'm good," and she just buys it. So his sis orders him to stop being a shut-in, and he's like, "Got it," ever the good little brother. The second she's gone, he gives a little wave to the empty room. Total weirdo. He's snacking on a pastry, monologuing in his head about his busy life. Fighting bosses, running his guild. It's not easy being a shadow broker, he thinks, sitting in his throne chair like a final boss. So cringe, I love it. He's like, wonder where that new base is. Then immediately dismisses it, figuring Gamma just wanted to chat. Bro is not the main character of his own story. Cut to the new HQ, the ancient city of Alexandria. Basically, it's a legendary fortress. It's surrounded by cliffs and a forest full of poison mist from a mist dragon. The place was a ruin, a ghost town, but now it's being reborn as the Shadow Garden's main base. And we get a close-up on Eta, their resident mad scientist. Reborn through dangerous and ruthless experiments. Oh, this is gonna be good. Inside the new castle base, Alpha announces their relocation is done. Shadow Garden's real battle begins now. Lambda agrees. They've got a ton of work to do. They've got to upgrade the city, train members, and secure the bag. It's a whole new tech tree to unlock. Alpha's like, Gamma's already handling the money stuff. The land is super fertile, perfect for farming resources away from other players. Alpha knows Gamma will turn this into some insane new product line. Gotta fund the guild somehow. But Lambda points out their biggest vulnerability. The west side is basically undefended. Yeah, there's a poison forest, but that's not enough plot armor. Alpha's like, cool, let's just make the training facility part of the defense system. Lambda is totally on board. 2-for-1 upgrade. So they go find Etta, who is of course passed out on a couch. She slowly wakes up. Alpha gives her the new quest, build a training facility that's also a death fortress. You can see the gears turning in her sleepy brain. Training, base, defense. Then her eyes snap open. I want to do it. Alpha smiles. Quest accepted. Lambda offers to help, and Eta just gives another deadpan, yeah. Cut to a bit later. Lambda is looking at the blueprints, and she is absolutely horrified. This is gonna be bonkers. So, Lambda is looking at these blueprints, totally floored by how bonkers they are. Eta is just like, yeah, and Lambda gets hyped, saying this design is totally S-tier. Like, it's not just a training base, it's a fortress that exceeds all expectations. Then she looks closer and realizes the whole thing is basically a death trap. And Eta just deadpans, help me build it. Then she pulls out the full-on mad scientist grin, staring daggers at Lambda. Our girl is literally petrified, just frozen in pure panic mode. So, of course, she immediately caves and snaps a salute. Total simp. Eta's got this evil little smile. Let the fun times begin. Flashback time. Turns out Shadow gave her the main quest. He was all like, we need an OP defense system where you have to fight one-on-one. And Eta was just giggling like a psycho, totally inspired. Build something awesome. Back in the present, Lambda's forcing a smile, sweating bullets. Her composure finally cracks. Oh dear, she groans. Yeah, bro. I have a bad feeling about this. Cut to the library. Alpha's just chilling, reading some lore. Then Gamma comes barreling in, shouting her name and absolutely panicking. And, true to form, she immediately trips and faceplants. Never change, Gamma. Alpha just calmly checks for a nosebleed. I'm relieved it isn't bleeding. Gamma gets up, still freaking out, so Alpha asks what's up in the city. But Gamma's just like, don't tell me you haven't seen it yet. She points outside to their new building. They walk out, and Alpha is shook. The training center is already completed? She's like, bro, it's only been 2 days. They know that's some serious speed running. Then Eta and Lambda roll up, all casual, asking what they think of the new digs. Alpha notes that it looks more like a final boss dungeon than a training center. She remembers the blueprints were just one long, winding path. Eta explains the whole concept is that you have to 1v1 your way to the end. She calls it shadow wisdom, saying there's one compartment for each of the 7 shadows. And Alpha just eats it up, thinking it's some 500 IQ play by Shadow. She's simping hard over the design, calling it an indispensable structure. Meanwhile, Gamma is trying to point out the actual problem here. They go inside, and boom, a whole-ass army of rock golems. Gamma, our resident guild treasurer, is having a meltdown over the maintenance costs. She immediately turns on Lambda, asking why she didn't nerf Eta's crazy plan. A quick flashback shows Eta basically bullied her into it. Right, she says, and Lambda just salutes in terror. Lambda tries to sell the golems as perfect training dummies for the guild. Then she drops the bomb. They need Gamma to help them run a special combat evaluation test. Gamma's like, why not use Alpha? A very valid question. Eta just strolls past, all mysterious-like. Then she looks back and reveals the catch. You'll use magic gear. Gamma is worried, so Alpha explains that Eta probably has a new item build in mind, and, she needs to confirm it through experimentation. The penny drops. Gamma realizes she's the guinea pig for Eta's experiments. We get a close-up on a golem's face as Gamma panics. "I've got a terrible feeling about this!" Yeah, F in the chat for our girl. So our girl Gamma is sweating bullets over Eta's experiments, and she's got a terrible feeling about this whole thing. F in the chat, bro. Inside the lab, Eta is explaining her new invention, magic gear, which is just enchanted loot. The gear resonates with the user's magic, making it flow better. It's basically a massive stat buff that enhances your abilities. She literally named it Magic Gear. Super original. Gamma is absolutely losing her mind because Eta also built a dedicated workshop without permission. Eta just deadpans. If we use the magic gear, Shadow Garden will grow stronger. Alpha agrees, saying this is a good way to buff the whole guild. Gamma is still freaking out about the budget, but Eta acts all shocked. It doesn't? She asks, with Gamma screaming in the background. Peak comedy. Cut to the rooftop, and our girl is wondering why she's the guinea pig. She admits the other 7 shadows are way better suited for this. Yeah, they're all basically S-tier characters. Flashback time. Eta straight up tells her, "You're not ideal. Brutal. The fact you're not ideal," she continues, like some anime villain, "makes you the perfect test subject." Gamma is just frozen in shock. Alpha translates the burn. Since the gear buffs abilities, they should test it on the lowest stat character. Haha. Eta just roasts her. Gamma isn't that strong. Our girl is so pissed. Then Eta calls her complacent, which triggers a major realization. Gamma thinks, Master Shadow must have seen through my current state. Another flashback. Alpha had asked her if Shadow said anything, and he did. He told her, "Keep it up, Gamma." He was basically like, "Don't get complacent, always be grinding." His final words were that this would strengthen your foundation. So, Gamma thinks he was warning her about getting too chill after their last big win. Back in the present, Eta gets ready, and our girl gets this look of pure determination. "Let's go!" She's fully hyped now. "That's right, I'm in." Cut to the training arena. She's ready to throw down. Bring on the magic gear. Eta gets this absolutely evil little grin. Uh-oh. "No taking back what you said," Eta smirks, and Gamma just yells past her. Alpha knows this is about to be an extremely risky experiment. Ya think? So Gamma faces down a massive crystal golem. It's boss fight time! Let's do this! And of course, a second golem shows up. It's a raid boss. She draws her sword and unleashes this insane power-up move. Ha! We see the new loot in action, a glowing ring on her finger. The golem tries to block, but it's totally pointless. She one-shots both of them in a single swing, and everyone watching is stunned. Incredible! Gamma just stands there, completely bewildered by her new power level. Am I strong? Yes, girl, you just got a massive buff. So Alpha is breaking down the new loot. It's a massive stat buff that covers your weaknesses. It can also boost your best skills, making your strengths even stronger. Cut to the training room, where Gamma is standing over a huge pile of wrecked bots, looking like an absolute boss. Magic gear. Meanwhile, Eta gets this evil little grin and tells Lambda to do something nuts. Lambda is like, "Are you serious?" She's totally freaking out, thinking our girl Gamma is going to get wrecked. But Eta just deadpans, "Do it." Alpha, being the chill guild leader, steps in and says she'll provide backup if things get dicey. Back in the arena, Eta hits the go button, basically screaming, "Sir, yes, sir!" Gamma is all cocky, winking at the camera. "Nothing can stand against my sword." Famous last words, bro. A whole-ass horde of golems spawns around her. It's an ambush! Up in the stands, Lambda is panicking, but Eta is just giggling to herself. What a menace! Gamma is rightfully losing it. "Are you trying to kill me?" she screams. She keeps yelling, but Chibi Eta just deadpans, "Can't say I killed you unless you die." Then she pops up again. It is what it is. Gamma is just a floating head of pure rage. Peak comedy. After the beatdown, Gamma is totally wiped, surrounded by busted golem parts. What a grind. I really thought I was dead," she gasps. Eta's just like, "Yeah, but you aren't. Experiment was a huge success." Lambda is just happy she survived. Alpha asks how hard it is to craft this OP gear. Lambda says it's possible, but it's a major grind for materials. Basically, it's a late-game crafting recipe that requires a lot of patience. Meanwhile, Chibi Eta is sulking on the floor. Wish she'd hung in there a little longer. This girl is relentless. Gamma, literally collapsed on the ground, is in total disbelief. "You wanted more?" Eta tells her they haven't finished all of today's experiments, and Gamma gets this look of pure existential dread. Alpha asks what's next on the testing schedule. Eta wants to test a defense facility and needs someone to run the gauntlet. A sleek black boot steps forward, and it's our guild leader. "How about using me as a test subject?" Alpha says, looking absolutely epic. Everyone else is just standing there with their jaws on the floor. What a flex. Eta is hesitant. "You're too strong. I don't think I'd get good data." Basically, "You're too OP, you'll break my metrics." But then she gets this little smirk. It might be fun checking those results. Alpha is totally game. "Let's go!" Cut to the arena. Alpha asks, "Is it okay if I take them all out?" Eta's just like, "If you can." Alpha powers up, looking like a total final boss. Lambda is freaking out again. This is turning into quite the serious battle. But Alpha just gives the order, and Lambda snaps to attention. "Sir, yes sir." The golems activate, and the fight is on. One golem smashes the ground, but Alpha just effortlessly dodges into the air. She's like, "My body feels lighter than usual. The buff is working." She does this insane mid-air flip and one-shots 2 golems at once. Just a clean, perfect hit. The magic gear must be working, she notes, as she absolutely blitzes through the rest of them. It's a total speed run. She clears the next floor of slime monsters in seconds. The peanut gallery is stunned. Lambda's like, "Yeah, I see why Eta was reluctant." As the floor count flashes by, she realizes this is terrible for data collection. The data's not very useful. She's just too OP. Alpha finally reaches the end of the line, ready for the final boss. "Are we done?" she asks. But we see Eta with this absolutely diabolical grin. "Ha ha ha," Eta appears, saying her opponent is neither slime nor golem. Plot twist. Alpha just gives a confident smile, totally unfazed. "Then what am I up against?" Suddenly, a massive howl echoes through the hall. A wild challenger appears. It's Delta, leaping down from the rafters like a superhero. She lands right in front of Alpha, ready to throw down. Ooh, it's Alpha, she grins, showing her fangs. It's a PvP duel. Delta checks the rules with Eta, who just confirms she can fight whoever shows up. Yeah, I did, Eta says, totally enabling this chaos. Delta gets hyped. If I take out Alpha here, that'll make me the number 2 of the pack. Oh boy, here we go. Alpha's eye just twitches. She is so done with this nonsense. Her composure finally snaps. Huh? So, Alpha turns to the little menace, Eta. You said I can take out anything that turns up, correct? Eta is just standing there, blushing like she's been caught. Totally busted. Delta, meanwhile, is trying to act tough. I won't chicken out today, she yells. Alpha's just like, sure, bro, be my guest. Absolute ice. She gets this cool smile and flexes her new cat-themed magic gear, which starts glowing. It's go time! And the fight is literally over in a flash. Delta lunges, but Alpha just casually parries. Our boy Sid is like, so fast. Gamma is shook. She's keeping up with Lady Alpha. But Eta, the mastermind, just deadpans. Not quite. Delta goes for a dive bomb, screaming, if I beat Alpha here, I become the number 2. Yeah, keep dreaming, dude. Alpha doesn't even flinch, just... Delta goes for the kill shot, claws out. You can't escape? Narrator, she could. They clash in a shower of sparks. Delta's face is pure, cartoonish shock. Alpha just smirks. Not so fast. Then she unleashes this insane whirlwind attack and just yeets Delta into the stratosphere. Fight over. GG no re. Alpha casually pokes the defeated Delta with her sword. Oh, are we? Delta is on the ground with swirly eyes. Why are you so strong today? Because of the OP gear, you clown. Gamma gets it. It makes a powerful individual even stronger. Basically, a massive buff. Alpha is just posing victoriously. She points to the sky. Quite impressive, this magic gear. What a flex. Eta is just like, got better data than expected. This girl is relentless. The experiment was a success, she says. Quick flashback to Eta looking smug in her lab while Alpha watches. She knew all along. Back in the present, Alpha has this all-knowing smirk. Gamma tries to warn Alpha. Eta's always had this side to her. She basically says Eta has zero empathy and sees people as test subjects. Hardcore. But Alpha is just like, but that's what makes Eta. Eta. She knows her friend is a psycho and is cool with it. As they walk off, Alpha's like, you must have felt it, and Gamma agrees. Then they say how everyone spoils someone, and Alpha gets this happy little smile. That would be nice. Ah, wholesome guild leader moment. Meanwhile, Delta has recovered and is now screaming at Eta from a distance. I'm sick and tired of your experiments. Join the club, bro. Flashback time. Cut to some fancy base. We're in a huge library. Eta announces her new training facility is done. She tells our boy Sid she got Gamma and Delta to help with her experiments. Sid is thinking, yeah, got them to help means she totally dragged them into it. He knows her so well. He figures Delta got duped easily, but is surprised Gamma went along. What a mystery! He wonders if something's up, especially since Beta, the usual guinea pig, wasn't around. Eta says there's lots of room for improvement. Any other ideas? She asks Sid. Sid thinks about how his last idea was just ripping off battle manga plot points. He knows in reality that crap never works right, so he strikes a pose. Let's see. How about riddles, he suggests playfully. Ita's like, riddles? Sid explains you'd have to use your brain, not just brute force. Ita's mind is blown. Oh, that's super interesting. Then she hits the big problem. But then Delta can't advance. Sid's just like, well, yeah, LMAO. He suggests just giving her the answers. Sid then imagines smug Alpha, knowing Delta wouldn't even remember them anyway. Brutal. Ita asks for an example. So our boy starts. Midgar tuna. Experimental materials. Ita is completely lost. He continues super dramatically. What do these words have in common? The answer, ask your heart. This is peak chuny nonsense. I love it. Chibi Ita is just standing there surrounded by floating fish. Tuna? She asks. And the big reveal from Sid. Tuna Muniere. That's what we had for lunch. He's such a troll. Ita is just deadpan. Sid completely zones out, thinking about sashimi and Japanese food. Man's got his priorities straight. Ita just watches him. As he's lost in his food coma, Ita's like, I'll need some time to think. She's hiding a little smile. She thinks, it's always interesting to hear what Master has to say. Flashback ends with a shot of a big castle. Cut to Ita's lab. It's full of crazy science crap, furnaces and bubbling beakers. A deep voice cuts in. Did you complete that thing I asked for? Ooh, plot hook. So, our girl Zeta hits up the resident mad scientist, Etta. Hey, you finished that thing I asked for? Etta is like, that thing? Zeta points to a shiny silver box, the main quest item. Make sure to write up a report on how it works, Zeta says. Etta deadpans. Got it. Should I categorize each type I deep fry? LMAO, this girl is a menace. Anyway, Zeta grabs the briefcase and is about to bounce. But suddenly, Gamma, the guild's accountant, bursts in like a raid boss. She shoves a bill in Etta's face, absolutely fuming about last week's expenses. She starts shaking Etta, screaming about the garden's operating funds. Zeta, watching the drama unfold, is slowly putting two and two together. The horror. Her face is pure shock. She used the garden's reserves to pay for her research? Gamma confirms it, still screaming, while Etta just hides behind the paper. Totally busted. But then Etta gets this massive confidence boost and declares, research and splurging are inseparable. What a legend! Gamma is losing her mind, explaining how this screws up their main quest to buy up shares in the capital. What a complete disaster, Gamma cries. Zeta tries to nope out of there. Sounds like a problem between the two of you. But Gamma spots the briefcase. What? Hold on, are you talking about this metal box right here? Oh, the plot thickens. Zeta just smiles. It's a fryer. Apparently, it uses magic to heat oil safely. You know, casual tech. It even unfolds into a portable deep frying station. The ultimate camping gear. Gamma is super confused. A fryer? Is it part of the food research for our troops? Zeta gets this sneaky grin. Not related to either. I'm just taking it with me for a little experiment. She's going to the ocean to try out some wisdom she learned from the big boss, Master Shadow. Gamma gets curious. Why the ocean near the capital, Zeta? Zeta gets all nervous. Huh? For fishing. And that one word literally breaks Etta's brain. Fishing? She starts muttering to herself. That's it. The answer is fishing! Eureka moment! Zeta's just like, dude, what's with you? And Ita proclaims, I've solved Master's riddle. Quick flashback to our boy Shadow being his usual chuny self. Midgar tuna, experimental materials. The answer will illuminate your path forward. Mind blown. Now Gamma is connecting the dots out loud. The timing of Zeta's experiment. The Midgar tuna, the thriving fishing industry in the capital. The galaxy brain takes are off the charts. She's absolutely convinced. Perhaps Master Shadow is providing a hint for our new business. This is peak overthinking. Eta is suddenly super into it. An odd coincidence. I'm curious. Zeta just knows what's coming. Are you two planning on tagging along? They're like, of course. The party has assembled. Zeta just sighs in defeat. Geez, fine. In full-on chibi mode, she lays down the law. I leave in an hour. I won't wait up. They just smile and agree. Standing alone, Zeta is completely bewildered. Things have taken a strange turn. You think? But then she just shrugs it off. Oh well. Cut to a gorgeous, sun-drenched beach. The vibes are immaculate. A voice says, "It's fine. New map unlocked." So our girl Zeta is just vibing on the beach, soaking it all in. She's all set up to fish, calling it the perfect day. Meanwhile, Gamma is absolutely losing it. She keeps losing her bait, while Eta, our resident genius, calls the whole process inefficient. Zeta just sighs. This is gonna be a long day. So Eta just yeets her line into the water with a grunt. Zeta has to point out the obvious. You literally need bait to fish, genius. Eta is disgusted by the thought of touching the slimy things, and she's absolutely floored that they can only catch one fish at a time. The girls complain about what a hassle this whole thing is. But then Gamma, ever the accountant, starts talking business. Zeta breaks it down. Fishing for tuna isn't going to pay the guild's bills. It's way too unstable to be their main source of income. Gamma keeps crunching the numbers until Zeta just shuts it down, calling all the business talk the real hassle. She tells them to just chill out and enjoy the vibe for a bit, and that's when Eta stands up. Done. She's holding up a freaking slime grenade. Her master plan? Just blow up the ocean and collect the loot. Gamma is understandably panicking. But Eta just yeets the bomb into the water. Kaboom! A massive explosion rocks the surface. The other two are just soaked and completely shell-shocked. And hey, a single dead fish floats to the top. Mission accomplished? Nope. Now the shore is covered in mangled fish bits. And wait, the explosion aggroed something big. Tentacles burst from the sand. A bunch of mobs and a freaking butterfly mini-boss just spawned on them. Zeta gives Eta the ultimate death stare, but Eta just strikes a pose. Desperate times call for wasteful measures. What a legend. Cut to after the fight. The beach is littered with monster parts. Zeta is exhausted, and Gamma is still absolutely fuming. Eta, the cause of all this crap, has the nerve to tell Gamma to calm down. Big yikes. Zeta, the tired mom of the group, tries to mediate. Then she adds that she's not making any promises about inspiration. LMA. All that destruction has made Eta super sleepy. Zeta tells her to take a nap, but Eta whines that she won't be able to fish. Zeta says dozing off is literally part of the fishing experience. Eta's galaxy brain logic. If she wanted to sleep, she would have stayed home. She finally gives in and declares, "I'll sleep," and is immediately out. Gamma watches her, suddenly all peaceful. They both agree she's way more adorable when she's not causing chaos. The chill vibes are finally back, so the two of them just fish in comfortable silence. It's a peaceful day again. Today's supposed to be that kind of day. Quest complete. So our girl Gamma proudly holds up a fish And Zeta's just like, not bad for a noob. Then she drops the sickest burn, asking if she's better at fishing than walking. Oof. Anyway, Zeta whips out a deep fryer because the fishing was just the side quest. This is the main event. She's totally smirking, knowing this is where the magic happens. Meanwhile, Eta is completely passed out. Gamma offers to help cook, but Zeta just shuts her down. Savage. A bit later, Gamma hooks a massive tuna, or so she claims every time. Zeta just gets right to it, announcing, "First up is tuna." A godly smell fills the air as Zeta preps the fryer, ready to go Super Saiyan on this fish. Cut to the tent, where Zeta reveals her masterpiece. It's a tuna sandwich that looks absolutely legendary tier. She explains it's a secret recipe she learned from our boy, Lord Shadow himself. The secret sauce is all part of Shadow's infinite wisdom, of course. Gamma is literally drooling, begging for a bite. She takes one huge chomp, and bam! Her brain just short-circuits from the pure flavor overload. A single tear rolls down her cheek. It's that good. She starts screaming on the beach like she just won the lottery. "Delicious!" she yells, going into a full-on power-up sequence over a sandwich. She launches into a gourmet food review, and Zeta's just thinking, "Bro, calm down." Gamma immediately recognizes the sauce is similar to another one of Shadow's creations. Zeta explains it's tartar sauce, another piece of forbidden knowledge. Gamma calls the flavor a heavenly harmony, and Zeta roasts her for being just like Epsilon. LMAO. Then Gamma gets a galaxy brain idea. "This is it," she declares, having a total epiphany. The real moneymaker isn't fishing. It's selling these sandwiches for the garden. They won't catch tuna. They'll process it for massive profit. Zeta just sighs, knowing her business-obsessed friend is back at it again. Gamma strikes a pose, convinced she's unlocked Lord Shadow's true master plan. Zeta's just eating her own sandwich, thinking Gamma has completely lost it. But damn, she has to admit this thing is insanely tasty. The smell even wakes up Eta, who wanders over like a zombie. She takes one single bite. Even our resident genius is stunned into saying, "Delicious." The next day, Gamma is hyped and ready to grind out this new business venture. But oops, the smell of fried potatoes aggroed a bunch of mobs on the beach. Zeta deadpans that she's defenseless while frying potatoes, basically telling Gamma to handle it. Gamma is absolutely fuming, screaming at her for only being good at cooking. Zeta's only reply, a chill, "Well, do your best." What a legend! After Gamma clears the mobs, Zeta is already prepping another masterpiece. This time it's a baguette version, and she's deep in her recipe theory crafting. Gamma is just panting on the beach, completely out of stamina. She thinks the fight is finally over. Psych! Zeta shoves the new sandwich right in her mouth. Gamma admits it's amazing, but immediately calls it too niche for the market. This girl's brain is all business, all the time. Zeta is so over it, snapping that she's just trying to make good food. Gamma just hits her with the deadpan, "Well, yes, I am talking about business." So Zeta pulls out a mystery bottle, completely done with this conversation. It's malt vinegar, a new buff she wants to test out. Gamma just stares blankly, repeating the word vinegar. Then Zeta just douses the fried potatoes in it, and Gamma completely panics in the background. Zeta tries one and is just like, yeah, this is good. She offers a piece to a super skeptical Gamma. Gamma closes her eyes and reluctantly takes a bite. Crunch! Her eyes snap open in total disbelief. She holds the fry up like a holy relic and just screams, "Yum!" And here we go again. Gamma goes on another rant about golden fried potatoes and the sea of abundance. This squad is completely bonkers. So Gamma gets this galaxy brain idea. Vinegar sandwiches. Zeta's just like, bro, that's nuts. Cut to outside, and whoops, a giant wave of sauce soaks everything. Total disaster. They try the ruined food, and Zeta's like, wait, this is actually good? Gamma agrees, calling it delicious after insulting Zeta's taste buds. Savage. Gamma goes full food critic, analyzing the flavor profile. Peak business mode engaged. She realizes this isn't a thing in the capital yet, which is basically a free money glitch. Her brain immediately goes to a massive business opportunity in the capital. Zeta is just so done with her. You always talk about business. LMA. Flashback time. Zeta once gave Gamma a fried sea bream sandwich. It looked absolutely S-tier. Gamma was hyped to try this premium item. She takes one bite and her brain short-circuits, as usual. Zeta's just like, yep, saw that coming. Gamma calls it a high-level snack for nobles. She's so extra. But then her business brain kicks in. But sea bream is expensive, of course. Back to the present. Zeta calls her out for being a buzzkill. Gamma's just like, this is my job. She keeps theory crafting the business plan while Zeta zones out. Then Zeta gets a flash of insight. Wait a minute, could it be that the master? It all clicks. He knew they'd be here. He planned the tuna sandwich meta from the start. She's completely blown away by his 5D chess moves. Meanwhile, Gamma has no clue what's happening. Another flashback. Zeta offers her some onion rings. She says they're a pain to grind out, but the reward is worth it. Gamma tries to play it cool, saying it's for educational purposes. Yeah, right. Zeta totally calls her out. One bite and Gamma is in heaven again. So good! But you can already see the but coming. And back to the beach. Zeta drops a mic drop wisdom bomb on Gamma. Isn't that feeling of pure enjoyment what business is all about? Gamma is just stunned into silence. Critically hit. She's just like, you really analyze your subjects well. That's an understatement. Zeta hits her with the smoothest comeback, quoting Gamma's own line, "This is my job." Gamma is just in awe, and of course, a random mob appears. A giant sea monster just pops out of the water. Gamma pulls her sword and tells Zeta to get started on frying squid. Their priorities are completely busted. Zeta just sighs, yes, yes. Cut to the debriefing. Zeta is just vibing on the beach, enjoying the sea breeze for a change. She tells our boy Sid she went for a chill fishing trip, but got dragged into R&D for Gamma's new food venture. Classic. Our boy Sid, with his infinite wisdom, interprets this as Zeta masterfully manipulating Gamma into being her monster-slaying bodyguard. He's not wrong, but also so wrong. He's like, Zeta, you're so shrewd. Bro is seeing plot twists that aren't even there. Zeta changes the subject, gushing about how good the food was. Sid knows she's a picky eater, but she loves fishing. Then Zeta lists the future menu, and a light bulb goes off in Sid's head. It's fish, beef, onion rings. Wait a sec. Hey, that sounds like a Zeta is totally confused. McDuh? Sid goes full Chuny, strikes a pose, and declares, McRonald! He tells her she has unlocked his ultimate wisdom all on her own. The BS levels are off the charts. He goes on, saying Gamma alone couldn't have achieved this epic quest. It was Zeta's skills plus Eta's prep work that unlocked this new shadow wisdom, the ultimate technique known as MacRunald. Zeta is speechless. The wisdom you reached? Sid just smirks. Yes. Her mind is completely blown. It was all part of the Master's plan. He's always steps ahead. She is not worthy. And the flashback ends. Zeta is still processing this galaxy brain moment. Meanwhile, Sid is thinking, phew, that was close, just threw some random BS out there. What a legend. He just muses that a shop like that probably already exists somewhere. The chapter ends with Gamma looking hopeful, basically asking the same thing, foreshadowing the next arc, LMA.